Hey everyone, welcome to a new little, I guess you could say, show that I want to do, a new little segment, I guess you want to call it. Basically, it's called Sonic Comics Plus. And the reason it's called Sonic Comic Plus is because not only will I talk about the Sonic comics here, basically, kind of talk about the topics or questions, basically the questions, if you will, that everybody asks about the comics. But I'm also going to talk about other comics as well, so that's why it's called Sonic Comics Plus. And basically, I try to fit in, hopefully, in the 15 minutes that I have, if not less. Like I said, I basically try to answer the question, one of the questions I feel a lot of people ask about with the comics. And if you want to ask your own questions, go ahead, PM me, put it down here in the comment box, that's fine. I'll try to probably pick out the one that's best. If not, then, maybe I'll try later on down the line. Not saying that I will not choose one or look it up and all that, but still. And also I'm going to talk about other comic books besides Sonic, other comic books that are out there, as well as some other comic related stuff. But majority of the time it might be just about the Sonic comics. I know you're thinking, well, here we go, some more Sonic comic stuff. Well, it is true. It is true. I am a fan of the comics, so that's why I'm doing it like this. But I'm also a fan of other comics. So, let me start off by giving you an example with in this first episode, or first segment of this series. By answering one of the questions a lot of fans have when it comes to the Sonic comics. And this question has been spread around all over it's been spread around all over different sites, different Sonic related sites, which has been the ones at the Sega.com forums, the Mobius forums, the Saturday Morning Sonic forums, the SatAM Sonic forums, you name it, the comic book vines, whatever. Sorry about that, I had to take something out of my dog's mouth there. But this is a question that has been asked a lot. And that question is exactly, when is the Sonic comics going to come to an end? When is the final issue going to happen? And the reason a lot of people have asked this question, like I said, at all these various sites and message boards, is because to them, the comic book isn't what it used to be, and they feel that it's only a matter of time before it finally gets the axe. Well, let me see if I can explain this to the best of my ability. The Sonic comic, believe it or not, is not going anywhere for a while. I mean, if you go on the Mobius Encyclopedia Wikipedia deal, and you can Google that if you want to, Mobius Encyclopedia, and you go to the comics section there, and they've already got a list all the way up to 225. Heck, the new editor-in-chief, if you will, of the comic book has already got it up to 225. He's already said there's something big planned for that. So, when someone like the editor-in-chief says they got something planned for the 225th issue, don't expect the comic to, really, get the axe soon. I know this sounds like I compare a lot of things in my various other videos, but this is what it is. This is the way I look at it. This comic book is basically like, the John Cena, if you will, of Archie Comics and Sega. See, Sega has a lot of talk, a lot of pull and all that with this comic, whether people think they do or not. They do have some pull in this comic. Basically, you know, if they say they want to end it, they will end it. That's how much pull they have. So anyway, this is basically like the John Cena of the comics for Archie Comics. You know, in the WWE, a lot of fans online at various wrestling sites are always asking, when is John Cena going to turn heel? When is WWE going to do that? And the majority of the time, the majority of the answer they get from the experts or from reporters or from insiders is, as long as John Cena's merchandise is selling well, is the top seller, WWE will not turn him heel. That's it. As long as his merchandise is one of the top sellers for the company, they're not going to turn John Cena heel. Excuse me. End of story. Now, if they do decide to go in a direction that says, okay, we're forcing John Cena to be part of this, then that's perfectly in character. That's perfectly fine. But as far as turning him heel, you know, they're not going to do that as long as his merchandise is selling at the top, as one of the top sellers for the company. And the same can be said for the Sonic comic. To Sega and Archie Comics, as long as this comic is still selling well, and this is mostly for Sega, because I know they get a share of the profits. As long as the comic is selling well, whether it's through subscriptions, newsstands, whether it's in comic book shops, whether it's through comic book shop websites, you know, as long as this comic or any related comic to it is selling well, they're not going to get rid of this comic anytime soon. End of story. That's about it. They're not going to get rid of it as long as it's selling well, and as long as Sega is getting a very profitable margin out of it. Basically, as long as Sega is getting a good share of the profit. They're not going to get rid of it anytime soon. So, because I know that a lot of people, they look back in the history of the comic and they think, well, issue 50 would have been the last issue, right? Yeah, issue 50, you know, years ago, 13 years ago, would have probably been the last issue. But because it was so good, and because of the fans' responses to what the writer at the time did to one of the characters, the comic book continued to grow. It continued to take off. That's why I'm telling you right now, don't expect the comic to be gone anytime soon. So, that's just about it. That's why, you know, I feel the comic isn't going to be over anytime soon. So, you know, the only way I see this comic coming to an end anytime soon, the only way I see this comic coming to an end anytime soon is if Sega does finally say, okay, let's cut ties, and whatever the final issue is, you know, we're going to give you, Archie Comics, free reign to do what you want. If that day ever comes, then Archie Comics and whoever was writing for whoever the head writer at the time for the book, they will do what a lot of fans want. They will finally do what fans have been wanting to see done in the comics. They will probably marry off the two main characters, Sonic and Sally. That's it. But to answer the question that everybody keeps asking in all these various forms, no, the comic will not be coming to an end anytime soon, because it's one of the big sellers for not only Archie Comics but for Sega, and as long as Sega is getting a share of the profit out of it, it's not going to go away anytime soon. And quite personally, I hope it doesn't. Now, like I said, this segment, this show, if you will, is going to, this series, if you will, is going to also focus on other comics. That's why it's called Sonic Comics Plus. So let's talk about another comic that's non-Sonic here. It's a comic that was recently announced to be debuting in about 2 months, 2.5 months, in comic shops everywhere and even online. I think you can pre-order it right now. I'm not really sure. And that is Boom Studio Comics. Now, Boom Studio Comics, in case you don't know who they are responsible for the revitalization, for reviving the Darkwing Duck franchise back into the comic book form, and kind of continuing the comic right after the series, basically making a continuation of what takes place after the series. Well, in case you don't know about this, and I kind of did an extra normal little clip on it, used the extra normal characters and did a little clip on it. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is the next Disney cartoon, Disney Afternoon related cartoon, getting the Boom Studios Comics treatment. That's right. They're getting the Boom Studios comic treatment. And according to the writer, they're going to start off basically with an all-new adventure, one of the biggest ones that they've ever had. In fact, the writer has come out and said that the multi-issue story is going to be the biggest adventure, biggest mission that the characters have ever been on. Basically, one that's worthy enough to at least, basically one that would have been worthy enough to have been maybe the Rangers movie back in the 90s, back in the early 90s, had that movie came off the shelves. I mean, not came off the shelves, but have come to fruition. But that's basically what he said. The first few 4 to 5 or whatever issues, the first multiple issues, if you will, and excuse me if I'm kind of tripping on my words here, but the first story is going to be a multi-issue story, worthy enough, like I said, that according to the writer as well, worthy enough for the Rangers to have. So it's going to be, a big thing. Now, I don't know what he's got planned after this multi-issue beginning, or this revamping, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people are hoping that he brings back some characters that became popular throughout the series, like Tammy and Foxglove and a few others. Some are hoping they bring in Carlise from Two Chips and a Miss, that classic cartoon. They're hoping for all this. And the writer right now, I guess, is not really focused on that. He's just focused mainly on what's going to be the first few issues, the first main story, and then go from there, and we'll see what happens. But it's going to be, according to what he said, it's going to be all new, and it's going to be set in the modern time, which is like now, 2010, 2011. So expect the Rangers to probably be using a lot of things of today. So, but yeah, that's the other comic book news I want to talk about, and that's all I'm going to say. You got any comments on this first show? You got any questions, Sonic related wise? Go ahead and ask them down here in the comment section, or PM me here at YouTube if you want to. I'll try to answer them best I can if I get to them, and if I don't be upset, because maybe I want to talk about something else, Sonic comic related instead. So don't be upset if I don't pick out a question, but I'll try my best. And that's all I'm going to say. You got any comments, any Q&As, any Qs, any questions, put them down here, PM me. Try to get to them the best I can. If I can't, and I decide to choose something else, that's fine too. And you can also ask me questions about other comic related stuff from non-Sonic comics if you want to too, and I'll try my best to answer those. If not, again, it'll be something I'll choose out of the air. So that's all I'm going to say. Have a good day and peace out. God bless.